Have you ever heard of the phrase, I put my foot in my mouth? Well, today I want to explore expressions that emotionally intelligent people should never use. And so often we hear them. So today, let's explore the 10 phrases that emotionally intelligent people should never use. Today we're going to explore 10 phrases that emotionally intelligent people should never use. Now, as we go through each of them, here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to think about times in your lives, perhaps that you might have heard these expressions and phrases. And if you have, comment below. And also, I want you to think about what are some other phrases that you have heard that should never be used in emotionally intelligent conversations. What are these 10 phrases? Well, in no particular order, let's go through them. Number 1 is, I told you so. Now that's such an interesting phrase, I told you so. Because whenever you hear that, normally what's happening is that you have made an error, that you've done something that just hasn't turned out right. And then the person who just looks like a smart aleck is able to come to you and say, I told you so. And at that moment in time, that's not what we're looking for. At that moment in time, we're looking for someone that's able to show us a little bit of sympathy, who's able to understand and appreciate that things just really haven't worked out well. What we're not looking for is the metaphorical pie in the face and someone said, I told you so. What we're looking for is someone to say, you know, that's upsetting. How do you feel? And then perhaps move on to, well, what did you learn from this lesson? What are you going to do the next time? That's the emotionally intelligent thing to say. Expression number 2 is, you're just being too sensitive. Or a close sister of that one is, pull yourself together. You know, whenever you hear the words, you're just being too sensitive, really it's a code that's been spoken that basically saying is stop feeling the way you are. You're feeling too much. And of course, feelings are not bad. Feelings are not just good. Feelings just are. One of the core abilities of emotionally intelligent people is to recognize what they're feeling at the moment and never to try and banish them, but to appreciate that they're there, and normally they're there for a reason. And so when someone says to you, you're just being too sensitive, really what they're saying is, I'm not comfortable with your emotions and I certainly don't want to talk about them, and I would prefer if you wouldn't share them. And of course what we know is that people should be encouraged to share their emotions. Now, if their emotions are a little overwhelming and we feel they're a little out of control, well, what normally happens is that just their ability to vent can be very helpful as well. The third phrase is, I'm going to stop you right there. You know, I just heard this a few weeks ago. I was talking about a situation that I'm in, a work situation, and someone was listening. Well, they weren't really listening, but obviously they were impacted with it. And all of a sudden they say to me, I'm going to stop you right there. And of course, there I was, caught mid-sentence, shut down. And this person, of course, was fearing perhaps that I was going to go into a topic they didn't want to talk about, or perhaps they were feeling a little bit angry. And it was almost a warning to me that if I continued, that I would regret, that the conversation would go somewhere. So, you know, emotionally intelligent people never shut other people down. They can appreciate that at times some conversations are difficult and some conversations may evoke anger in others, but that's part of being human. The fourth phrase is, why can't you be like insert name? You know, I've heard this so often. Why can't you be like? And of course what that is, the undercurrent for is, I don't like what you're doing. You'd be so much better, and I would give you so much more approval if you would just be like your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your friend. Insert person. You know, why can't you just be like is a way of putting down another person. And of course it shuts them down And it's really not good for a person to explore perhaps some behaviors which are annoying the other person. An emotionally intelligent person is able to explore that, to explore and be self-aware of why perhaps this other person is touching a thread with them and perhaps evoking emotions within them, rather than shutting them down and saying, why can't you just be like so-and-so? The fifth phrase is, I had no choice. And of course, this is a rationalization. Now, as human beings, we are always in choice. Even when we think we do not have a choice, we always do have some form of choice. And so when a person says the words, I had no choice, of course, it's the easy way out. It's just saying that I'm trying to justify what I've done. And so what we should try and do, of course, in that moment is to explore with them. Perhaps there were choices. Perhaps there were other ways that they could have reacted or other ways that they could have behaved. If you're enjoying the content today, I invite you to subscribe to my channel below, to also press the bell when you'll be notified of new episodes. Each week, I come up with a new video which explores a different element, just like today, of emotional intelligence that can be helpful both at work and at home. Subscribe, press the bell so that you won't miss another episode. Phrase number 6 is, well, I'm just being honest. Now, when a person says, well, I'm just being honest, of course, what they are doing is they are having a justification to say all types of callous things to you and in a way that can be hurtful. And of course, they're cloaking it with this magical honesty. I'm just being honest with you. Or it's just the way I was raised. No. We can express things in a hurtful way. We can express things that are hurtful to other people, and that's just what they are. If we use the excuse of being honest, in many ways it's just showing our lack of emotional intelligence. Phrase number 7 is, you're overthinking. Now, of course, this is one that I heard quite a bit a few years ago, because when I'm in a thought process, I like to evaluate everything. And some people were just getting a little tired of me trying to kind of explore all the different options. And of course, they would say to me, you know, you're just overthinking this. Just make a choice. Now, there are times when I could see that being appropriate, but most times it's used as a way of shutting someone down. A better way to approach something like that is, you know what? I can see there's a lot of different things going on and a lot of different options. That must be very overwhelming for you. How do you plan to choose one? You see, it's a way of moving a person forward without shutting them down, but still helping them realize that they have to make a choice. Phrase number 8 is, don't get me started now. And of course, this one is interesting because it's a little bit of a warning. It's don't get me started. So in other words, if I continue with this conversation, if I continue with this line of conversation, that I am going to get started. And what started means normally is I'm going to have an angry response or I'm just going to explode. And so it's another way of shutting another person down. And of course, emotionally intelligent people are able to take weighty conversations perhaps that might get conflictual, and they're able to deal with their own feelings no matter where the conversation goes. Phrase number 9 is, everything is great, right? Now this is an interesting one because really what the phrase means is you should be happy. You should be content the way things are, and you shouldn't be raising concerns or questions or perhaps that you might not be happy with the situation. So everything is great, right? And so really what the language there is, yes, everything is great. The invitation is not to say, well, you know what, it's really not that great. I've got some issues. And people with high emotional intelligence are able to want to get to the bottom of a situation. They're curious about how a person is reacting and acting. And so that phrase which shuts a person down, which really says, you know, there's only one right response to this, and that is that everything is great, is something that they would never use. And the final phrase is, well, it's more a final word, and that is yes. Emotionally intelligent people don't say yes to everything because they're able to create boundaries. You know, one of the issues with people who have low emotional intelligence is their inability to set healthy boundaries about what they say and do. They're able to say no. And so a sign of low emotional intelligence is a person who is constantly saying yes and almost is afraid to say no. So there you have 10 phrases an emotionally intelligent person never uses. Now, just like I said at the beginning, if one of those phrases is something that you've heard, comment below. Or if you've heard other phrases that emotionally intelligent people should never use, I invite you as well to mention that below. Let's come up with an appendix of all these different sayings that should never be used. Now, if you've enjoyed the episode today, I also want to inform you that I have put together an emotional intelligence crash course. It's an online learning course which explores the elements of emotional intelligence and gives you practical tools to use. And what's more, this course is totally free. You'll find details on how to subscribe to the course and get started straight away. And if you've enjoyed this episode today, I invite you to watch the next episode, which looks at how we can be more present in our conversations.